What's up, guys? Hey, Ricky, are you losing weight? You look skinny. You're back at the baker's factory, aren't you? Too soon? Too soon? All right, let's start.
What chance does a privateer have?
Welcome to Supercross.
What do you say to a factory ride?
Welcome back, subscribers. So in this episode, I've got a lot of ranting to do, so I might as well just start talking. All right. Let me just go over a little bit of the qualifying. There was 54 guys in the 250 class. Shane McElrath, 45.4. Faster than anybody, any 450, anybody. Even beat Hill, which surprisingly Hill was the fastest qualifier in the 450 class with a 45.9. So relatively a half a second slower than the 250s. But in the 450s, there's only 42 riders trying to qualify. Is that because this whole Triple Crown, where as opposed to taking the fast 40, they're only taking 18, and then they're doing an LCQ for the last 4 riders? Or are you going to see less riders show up because they know there's no way I'm going to get inside that top 18? Potentially. I know a lot of riders don't like the format for the Triple Crown series.
I don't like the 3 motos. It's just chaos. I don't like it. You know, 3 of those first turns, the first straightaways, like I might be, or maybe sound like a sissy, but I do not like them.
So I get the whole track deteriorating. Guys are riding like twice as long. What is it? Normally they do 20 minutes plus 1, and now they're doing 12 times 3. So that's 12, 24, 36. Divided by carry the 1, carry the...
We're all homeschooled, so we're probably not that good at math.
So they're riding like twice as much, but they're getting paid to do so. Well, the purse isn't any bigger, which potentially should there be more of a purse there? I know the riders are nervous about the track falling apart, more chances for errors, which we saw with a couple other riders just crashing late in Moto 3 or Moto 2. But that's a whole different topic. I personally think that maybe they should change that for Moto as well. You know, maybe not 3 30-minute plus 2-lap deals. Maybe it should be, you know, split between 2 20 minutes. I think it might make things a little bit more interesting. I know back in the day, I think they did 3 45-minute motos, and then over in Europe for a while they did 3 motos as well. So I don't know. I think anytime there's more racing, the more entertaining it's going to be. So there's a devil's advocate, I guess. But AMA has changed the rules on a couple things. Most notably, you can't urinate behind the starting gate or anywhere that's visible. You'll get fined $1,000. That's an important one. But no, in all seriousness, they've got a 2-bike rule, which is completely, I don't know, it's weird. Do both bikes have to go through sound and tech inspection? Can you just have one bike built to the hilt and then all of a sudden be like, oh, I can't start it on the line, you know, just because you didn't plug in the electric start. So, oh, shit, I got to switch bikes to the beefed up bike. You know, the bike that's not going to get protested. I don't know. Conspiracy theory, I got a couple of them in this video for you. So, moving on to the track. What I liked about the track. I honestly liked that tabletop before the finish line. Yeah, it was sideways and it was one line, but it popped you up. It honestly looked like a really fun jump just to have in your backyard or at a local track, because it was very safe and it popped you up there. You were floating for a little while. I don't, however, think that was the fastest line, though. I honestly thought that when the guys didn't jump it and got to accelerate off of it and double, they had more speed to scrub off that finish line. I personally thought that was a faster line than popping, than singling into the face of the finish line. So I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. So moving on to just the dirt. If anybody's ridden in Texas, they know Texas dirt is awesome. It's real soft. There's lots of traction to it, but it breaks up quickly. And we saw that with the whoops. The 250 guys go out there, one main event, and those whoops already look trash. There's already getting that gnarly V, which makes it real one line. Then we start seeing guys start jumping through them, and there's just getting these cups out everywhere, and makes, in the long run, it makes the whoops end up being smaller, so it's easier to get through, which doesn't sound entirely accurate, because just because the whoops are a little bit smaller doesn't mean it's actually easier to get through because of all the cups and edges and holes. I'd much rather like to hit a set of pristine whoops that are nice rolled and nobody's touched them, that are a foot taller, than whoops that are smaller and they've got all these square edged in them, because you kind of go where you look, and you're supposed to look 3-4 whoops ahead, but you're always worrying about that one huge hole right in front of you, so you kind of let off and you get into trouble. And you also saw lots of ruts in between the rhythm sections here. And if anybody has ever jumped and tried to land into a rut, it's extremely intimidating.
Oh, hell no!
Because you're picking a rut in the air and you go to land and you're either seat bouncing, but you're stuck in that one ready for the next jump, and you don't know if there's a hole in that one or it doesn't have near as big of a lip to get you over the next jump. It's difficult, and it's one thing that these pros don't get enough recognition for, is just the being able to pick a line in the air. Yeah, all of us can ride a very smooth track, and when there's no ruts, you know, a harder base track, but when it's real soft, that's where these top riders really shine. And I did think the track crew did a decent job with rolling that stuff out during each motos. So now that I've said something nice about dirt works, it's time for me to address the elephant in the room. Yeah, that guy. And it's a damn dragon back. Why on earth would you build a dragon back with the last whoop being a couple inches lower than the rest of the other whoops, so that you're almost guaranteed to miss it? Wheelie over, hit rear end, endo, smack into the next face. Boo-boo. Asterisk Medical Crew, who lately hasn't been getting the best media or press because of what they did last weekend with the TLD KTM rider Brian. So my point is, when is enough enough? Do 2 riders, 3 riders, 4 riders have to get hurt?
Quite a few of them, and the last one was the smallest one, which I think that's not always the best option.
Yeah, I'm with these guys. Like, I don't understand why they build the last one lower than the first 4. I mean, it seems like they've done it multiple times. You know, it kind of, you sit there and scratch your head. Like, you want to hit the last one, but they make that thing low, and it's not good. You know, you see the crashes.
There's already 2 riders in practice that ended up crash, AC being the main one. And it ruined his winning streak of being fastest qualifier because of this. So is it the rider's fault? Is it the track crew's fault? Or is it a multiple of both? Because I do understand that everyone has to race the same track. So it's hard to just point fingers at who's to blame. But we saw that happen with Ryan Villapoto. Gosh, was it 2011 when they had that triple into that corner and he had breaking his femur, and guys like Chad Reed were saying this is way too dangerous, why do we have this? Did anyone say anything beforehand? I don't know. I'll have to do a little bit of research. I wasn't there. And just to start off on a little bit more of a rant, why are these riders not wearing the protection that's been available to them forever? When was the last time you saw somebody with a chest protector? Yeah, I know everyone's got the soft foam, soft shell roost guards, but most of those don't even cover your shoulders. And if you've seen any normal chest protector, it's hard shell and it covers your shoulders. Not to mention, none of these guys are wearing neck braces. And I can kind of get the mobility issue with the neck braces, but it just seems like a fad with pros. You get your pro license, you can't wear that stuff anymore. It doesn't look cool.
'Cause I'm still
You got to have your jersey and the small little roost guard, and that's all you need. But having a hard shell on your spine might come in handy, especially if you're going to fall on your back on the concrete. Could save you. Just thinking. All right. TP didn't look that bad with a chest protector, nor did Kevin Windham. I know I'm at fault too for not wearing a chest protector because I didn't think it was cool, because some of the riders I looked up to didn't have them. And then same thing with the neck braces. Those damn things broke my collarbone a couple different times. And then not wearing a chest protector, you can never tell if a certain crash is going to give a certain outcome when it comes to an injury. But I separated my shoulder, and definitely not having a chest protector or any sort of shoulder guard didn't help my AC joint. Would Adam Cincerillo have broken his collarbone if he would have had some sort of actual hard shell padding on his collarbone? Point is, you'll never know. Do I think it would hurt? Absolutely not. Do I think riders need to potentially wear more protection? Yes. And it helps the little kids too. I don't want little kids growing up thinking like, oh, Johnny Hopper doesn't wear a helmet, so I don't need to wear a helmet. That's retarded. They need to go, hey, Chad Reed wears that new high-dollar helmet. I want that new high-dollar helmet. Gosh, I'm definitely ranting on. These guys are the best in the world. They're the fastest in the world. It makes sense when they crash the hardest. So having more protection probably is a good thing. And not to mention if we see AC back in 2-3 weeks. Oh, this is another issue. Did you notice they posted his Instagram post, but they took out the picture that he used and they put like a 10-year-old photo of AC when he just went through puberty, all skinny face. That's not how he looks. He's like 25 pounds heavier since he moved from 250s to 450s. I don't know why they're not using the damn most recent photo of this guy. Is it another conspiracy? They don't want him to know that he's gained weight? Why? I don't know. It makes no sense. It's comical is what it is. And back to my previous point, do you think AC is going to be back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month? I've had 3 different surgeries on my collarbones. I actually have 12 screws in one of them right now. And I know that the doctors say minimum of 8 weeks. And then recommended is right around that 3 months, that 12 weeks. Yes, do you feel great right after you have clavicle surgery and they put a plate in there? Yeah, but it takes 8 weeks or so for the bones to heal. And that whole argument that these guys are professional athletes is complete bullshit. Genetically, we've been the same for the last 2,000 years. Unless you have some sort of hormone enhancement, something else going on, HGH, you're not going to heal any faster than the same dude on the couch. We're humans. So it'll be interesting to see how fast this guy returns to racing. I hope he returns to racing quickly because I want to see him win. Well, speaking of the 250 class, RJ Hampshire riding with that torn ACL meniscus. I don't know how he's doing it and how he's being so aggressive. Man, if he was French, well, we'd have the most hated rider on the East Coast. But for some reason, people are so mad about his aggressive passes. His passes haven't been as spectacular as Dylan's, but he's definitely been bumping some elbows. I think it's been all fun, clean racing. Well, I can't say it's been clean racing, but it hasn't been out to hurt somebody. We even saw Shane McElrath with Jordan Smith just barely bump him, and he kind of did the AC thing and just flew off the track. And speaking of Smith, that dude should have packed it up, man. He just was having a rough night, and then him landing on Owens looked pretty sketchy, or just tapping him on the landing, because anytime 2 riders barely hit each other, it's freaking carnage. And getting back to RJ finally winning that first race of the season. Yeah, even though it's one of the Triple Crowns, it's a 10-minute main event, so it's 5 minutes less than what you would see at a typical Supercross. It still counts. You know, it's more than a heat race, that's for sure. And this sport is so mental. If you don't have that proper time of soaking in what you just did, it's very difficult to go back out and try to excel and win again. Because typically we always hear, oh, it just takes that one. You just got to do that one and it gets the ball rolling. Yeah, but you have a whole week to soak in that feeling and to really reflect on how you felt and how the bike was gelling so that you're ready for next weekend and qualifying and press day. And then when the final race comes, the main event, you're ready to perform. When it's 30 minutes from now, you got to do it all over again. You're sitting there on the gate going, I won. I proved it to myself. I can do this. I am the man. I just smoked everybody. I feel it kind of sets you up for failure because you're focused on that goal so much of winning again as opposed to the system of how you felt and how everything went together in order for you to win. You didn't soak up anything. So I think that's what happened to RJ in that second race where he was almost expecting to just be up there. And you saw him actually, I believe it was Smith, I'd have to look back at the tape, where he was getting a good start, but he just kind of went out of his way, it seemed, and hit Smith. I'd have to look back. Maybe Smith was there before him, but anyway, that ruined his start, and then he ended up not doing that well. And he came back in the last race, and he was on the podium. But I personally think that McElrath is going to win this year. I mean, we saw him. He was the fastest guy of anybody on the track during qualifying. Does that say a lot? Because the track changes so much, and I told you about the dirt. Yeah, there's some different variables in there. You know, those 250s are smaller and lighter, and it's not uncommon to see 250 riders be faster than the 450 guys in the qualifying session because they're on the tracks at different times. So it's not so much like road racing where the track changes, but not as drastically as motocross and supercross. That's why I hate this whole time qualifying BS, because of how many different variables there are when you're on the track. And maybe that's just because I sucked and I always did better when they actually had motos for qualifying. But it was cool to see Hill out front. He's really coming into his own. I personally think his corner speed is just a little bit lacking. He's not quite as just like alert around the track. It looks like he's a little bit setting up here and there. And, you know, take that for what it's worth. Club MX, they're doing a fantastic job with their three riders. I can't wait to see both East and West showdown. So did anyone see Tomac with the starting blocks? I thought it was interesting that he had starting blocks. He's 5'9". I've never used starting blocks before, so I have that on Tomac. But I'm not as good of a rider as Tomac, so maybe if I had starting blocks, it would be better. I have to talk about Tomac's cross jumping. I personally just thought it was dangerous. I know that was a line he was taking every lap pretty much, is he's trying to get out of the ruts and hit that triple on the right-hand side and then swing over to the left so that he can make the corner and then triple out. But it just kind of seemed like a fuck you to Anderson and especially to Kenny. And you put so much faith in the rider that you're battling with when a scenario like that happens. It's very common to be cross-jumped in pro racing. That's just how it is. I sort of had the other side of it a few weeks ago with Barsha, you know, saying that Barsha was being a titty baby about it. And then now look at me, because now it's Tomac. I'm all pissed off about it. I just thought that if Kenny would have kept his line, they would have collided together and it would have been bad. At least with the Barsha-Martin deal, Martin wasn't even he didn't just completely cut in front of him. He was off to the side of him, and they got close. I thought it was a little bit different, but outside looking in, it could be the exact same thing because he did the same thing to Anderson. I just thought it was a very aggressive, unnecessary. I mean, he was obviously faster than both Anderson and Kenny. I don't think he needed to push that envelope. Yeah, he's got a $250,000 bonus coming up if he wins, so that might have something to do with it. But it was more of a statement that, hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if it means taking both of our asses out, because I have to win this championship now because I haven't done it yet. That was my take on it. I want to know what your guys' take on that move as well. Anderson, I think that dude needs to hit more spectators, hit more cameras, more track crew, because
I took out a medic today during the whoops. So
that seems to just put him in the zone. He ends up doing well. First podium of the year, like, go Anderson. This guy is definitely a character. We definitely need more of it. He's funny to listen to. His Team Fried stuff is funny. And I'd like to see him out front and doing better. So, do I think his Team Fried is kind of hindering his performance? In a roundabout way, I do. I really do. But hopefully this motivates him to run up front and get those good starts and make it happen. And then just an ending. Did you see not did you see, but did you hear the dick measuring contest that Ralph Sheen and RC were going through?
That makes me feel old, Ralph.
You are, buddy. You are.
Hey, man.
You are.
Well, you got me beat there, so I'm doing
In
all
a lot
right.
of categories, I got you beat. Not number one plates, but a handful of others. Here we go.
It was interesting. I don't think these guys like each other that much. So, I've got nothing else to talk about. I mean, I could come up with stuff to talk about because I like hearing myself talk. Hence why I have a YouTube channel. But I think it's time that I put the mic down and I start editing the video. Yeah. Well, I've got some more content coming out here. I'm going to make some privateer t-shirts that I want to start up another sponsorship where I want to give something back to the community and in the form of t-shirts, but then all the proceeds are going to go to a privateer. All right, we've done the sponsorship before with Chase Blackburn and Jared Lesher, but now I'd like to raise a couple $1,000s to give to one of these riders to really help them out. And then I also want to try to get these guys into press day for Denver, for the local one here. So I've got to email and talk to some people, and hopefully I can get our riders into press day. That would be pretty cool. I hope you guys think that's a good idea. So anyway, this is J-Hop. Got to clutch it.